Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Flock of Donkies, your Northwest bias podcast covering the Seahawks and the Broncos. I am your co-host, Adam and Gerrad. I'm joined here once again today by my good friend, the man, the myth, the legend, Broncos fan, Gerrad Tim. How's it going today, buddy?
Not bad.
Awesome.
I'm happy to be the only Broncos fan in this house right now.
You're happy for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just keeping our noses clean. Just keeping our noses clean.
Just keeping your noses clean. Nobody's snorting anything, Gerrad. Okay? And we will get to the drug accusations here in a bit.
Not much of it. Well, I can't help it. Can't help it.
But, first off, we just wanted to thank you guys for listening. We've had, great response here so far. And just wanted to give you guys some ways where you could actually interact with us here on the show.
Give us some feedback. Let us know if there's something you want to talk about.
Write us an email. Let's say you do that. And there's an easy way to do that.
Even if you hate us, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, no, please. And the new email address is afodpodcast@gmail.com. And AFOD is simply the acronym of the show's name, A Flock of Donkies. So AFOD podcast@gmail.com. Hit us up. If your email is rad, we're going to read it. We'll discuss.
Yeah.
And, like I said, if you don't like us, please write in. That would be even better.
We'll take the criticism constructively, I promise.
Yeah, constructively. Yeah, another way you can follow the show here is make sure to subscribe on YouTube. That actually really helps us out. So, just take a second, click a button. That's not too much to ask for. Good God. It's harder opening a beer. Just click, okay? That's all you got to do.
We more kind of want to expand the football communities of these teams and have a larger discussion over a larger area also. I want to talk to some people in Colorado. I want to talk to some people in Minnesota who are also Broncos fans, just to see what you guys think and see how the fandoms kind of exist in your neck of the woods.
You betcha. Also, find us on Facebook, like us on there, A Flock of Donkies, and yes, that's Donkies. That's the Canadian spelling of donkeys. Don't look
not
it up.
to offend any Broncos
It might not
fans,
be true. So check us out on there. And a new cool way, too, is we got a phone number specifically for the podcast. Call and leave a message. We'll play your message on the podcast, discuss the number, and I'm sorry, long distance should be free on your freaking phone at this point, so it's not a 1-800 number. Get over it. It's 406-823-0307. Anyway, get a hold of us one way or another. We'd like to hear from you.
Definitely.
All righty. So now that we've got that stupid housekeeping crap out of the way, we can talk about the important shit, which is beer.
Yes.
And we're reviewing today, Gerrad, a beer from my favorite brewery.
I think it's the premier brewing company in all of Montana, maybe even the whole Pacific Northwest.
They're really, really awesome. It's the Kettlehouse Brewery, and the beer we're drinking today is Eddy Pale Ale. And this is a fantastic pale. It's full of flavor. It's got a little bit of that hoppy taste, but it's not overwhelming.
It's pretty refreshing. I also like it in the springtime when you're kind of transitioning from winter beers into summer beers. You need something kind of middle of the road.
Absolutely.
But not a super light spring ale.
Yeah.
I like it. It's perfect.
Plus, it's got a cute kayaker girl on the can.
Always a bonus.
Yeah.
Always a bonus.
Yeah.
All right. So Kettlehouse Brewing Company, Missoula, Montana. Check it out.
You can't go wrong.
No.
So, Gerrad, I think today we go with Donkey Spit first. I want to talk some Broncos, man.
I
gotta say, I've been getting
more than anything to talk about Broncos.
I've been getting a little geeked up about your Broncos.
Yeah.
I have been.
Well, we were talking about it earlier, how it's tough to talk about some of this stuff when your team is just so deep. And I'm not even being a jackass or conceited about that, but we both have really deep teams at this point. Okay, I am really conceited. We're kind of the best team in the NFL right now.
Okay.
But when you have so much depth, really going into OTAs and training camp, when you have teams like this, basically all you're doing is looking at a depth chart.
Oh, absolutely.
You just want to, and that goes for every year, but especially now when you do have some people who may get kicked to the curb and you're like, kind of still like to have them on the team. You don't know who's going to get sent down because of who's going to step up. The draft plays a big part in the depth chart. But first of all, I want to address the running back position.
Okay.
And I know...
So wait, I just have one question about the running backs before we get started.
Go ahead.
Is there any chance we're going to see Lance Ball and Monty Ball in the backfield at the same time this year? Because I really hope so. I really want to hear the Broncos announcer say, there's Manning with 2 balls behind him.
No.
2-ball set.
God, come on.
I want a 2-ball set. And Manning's forehead is big enough to look like a penis, too. So I think
you will not have balls in the backfield.
We're not going to have a 2-ball set?
No 2-ball
behind
sets.
Manning? No. All right, well,
the scrotum backfield?
Yeah, exactly. The scrotum formation. Yeah. So, no scrotum formation.
No.
I think you should write John Fox just as like a
no,
just a friendly
that's not going to
suggestion.
happen. First of all, Lance Ball, In my opinion, he's kind of one of those guys on the outside looking in at this point. I
not even on the bubble. You think he's on the outside?
He's one of those guys. Well, I don't even know if he's eligible for practice squad this year. Once you've been in the league for so long, you're not even eligible.
I didn't even know that.
So,
look at you, John Clayton. Coming up with facts.
I found this out last year because we had to get rid of some people because of that.
Gotcha.
So one of the things that we're going to look at is the last two guys that we drafted there, Ronnie Hillman and Monty Ball. They're both going to be on the roster. They're shoo-ins.
Get your ball straight. Just get your ball straight, okay?
All I got is these two guys in screwed formation in my head right now.
Let's do this. New ball, and old ball.
So Ronnie Hillman's going to be on the roster no matter what. He's a change of pace guy. He's fast, great out of the backfield, especially in the screen game. Yeah. Monty Ball is that one cut, more of a power guy that we like to have on the roster also. The one thing that I think people are probably overlooking at this point is who has the key to Willis McGahee's season with the Broncos, if it happens at all at this point.
So you don't think Willis's fate is necessarily in his own hands at this point? You feel like some other people are going to either have to underperform or get injured,
or
something along those lines.
But if they perform like they did last year, I think he's the odd man out at this point, and that's why we brought in a Monty Ball.
Over Noshawn, you think he's the odd man out?
I do. Willis McGahee is up there in age, and Noshawn played his ass off last year. He's a great guy. He's a good veteran, for the younger guys coming in. And we also have Mario Fannin. I know a lot of you guys know who Mario Fannin is. He's been hurt. This will be his third season in the NFL, and we've kept him around for a reason.
Interesting.
So if he stays healthy through training camp, this could be kind of his chance to make the roster and really show that he can be a versatile back for us.
So you're hoping for a little Mario.
I was hoping for Mario Fannin last year.
Interesting.
I was big on Mario Fannin last
year.
Is he
a big guy, little guy? I don't know anything about this.
He's middle of the road. He's I think he's like 5'10". I don't know his exact size, but he's kind of a middle of the road guy. But
he's a tweener,
and he's a speedy guy.
Gotcha.
So, but the guy Willis McGahee didn't come to OTAs this year. Not a big surprise. He didn't come last year. Sure. He has his own off-season thing going on.
Yeah. Probably going to the witch doctor to get that shit in his knee, like Kobe.
He's doing something to prolong his career, and it's working.
Yeah.
So we still have a guy in Jacob Hester. And I think he's been largely overlooked because we gave him the ball in 3rd and 1, 3rd and downs, 3rd and 2 downs,
third and down
situations.
All the third and downs?
All the short 3rd and downs. We gave him the ball in those positions. And now that we have Lance Ball, God damn it, this is just not getting easier with all these balls.
You gave him the ball in that position?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh God. Okay,
right, so the 3rd and shorts.
Yeah, 3rd and shorts.
A lot of Jacob Hester.
Yeah, and Monty Ball is that mid-range kind of guy. Ronnie Hillman's the long-distance kind of guy.
Gotcha.
The 1st and 10s, things like that.
Yeah.
So I think Willis McGahee is the odd man out. If we can keep Jacob Hester in, who will be listed as our fullback.
That's what my question
Always keep a fullback on the roster, and Gronkowski's out.
Oh, yeah.
So Jacob Hester's our fullback.
All the Gronkowski's out.
All the Gronkowski's are out of Denver now. So we'll be going with Jacob Hester, I think. And that is the guy who will put Willis McGahee off of the Broncos.
So Gronkowski was your listed fullback before Hester?
Yep.
Interesting.
He was the guy last year. That's why we brought in Hester, listed him as a running back.
Yeah. Okay. So
that's my theory. I don't know if that's actually going to play out, but I think Jacob Hester is kind of the guy who's really going to dictate the overall depth chart here. So
interesting.
That's just
and he kind of, to me, I've always thought Jacob Hester runs a lot like Tebow. Like he's good in that short yardage. He's a tough, powerful guy. He probably throws just like Tebow, but maybe right-handed.
Just on the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
And we got him from San Diego too, and he played well for San Diego. He doesn't fumble either.
Didn't he play up in Minnesota for a year too? Possibly.
Shit, I don't know, dude.
I don't know. You don't know the travels of Jacob Hester?
No. I knew him from San Diego. Now I know him in Denver. So I think he's going to push Willis McGahee off the roster. Other than that, it's kind of up in the air. Jeremiah Johnson was a practice squad guy for us. He's a guy you would look to probably get off of there. And at that point, it's between Noshawn Moreno, Mario Fannin, and Lance Ball.
Lance Ball.
Yeah, I like Lance Ball. He just...
So
in pass protection, he's not there.
All right, Gerrad, either or. Lance Ball, Mario Fannin. TikTok.
I would take Mario Fannin at this point because I think we've been holding him around. We've been holding on to him for a while to see what he's going to do.
Yeah.
He's finally uninjured.
Yeah.
I think we really want to give him a chance. And at this point, we know what Lance Ball can do.
Yeah.
You know exactly what Lance Ball is.
What he can't do.
Yeah.
like block people on third down.
Pass protect.
Yeah, I mean, that ain't happening.
So, yeah, I give Mario Fannin a shot if he's healthy all the way through training camp. When it comes down to the 53-man roster, both guys are healthy and you've seen them.
Yeah.
Maybe Mario Fannin's not that guy after the injuries.
But, you know, like I always say, Gerrad, health is a part of talent. And so when you're comparing those two guys, I mean, Lance Ball's durability cannot be understated. Yeah. Like, I mean, he's a durable guy. You know, it sounds like, you know, Mario Fannin's a lot like Walter Thurman for us, where he's got all the ability in the world. He was even starting in front of Sherman at one point at corner. But he ended up getting hurt and hurt again and hurt again and hurt again. And, like, it's now getting into his third and fourth season. We've kept him on the roster. And, yeah, he's better than some of the other guys I feel on the roster.
Yeah.
But if healthy. And I can't stand trying to bet on a player if healthy. Like, I mean, it's like the worst thing you can add to something.
I guess when I thought about his health earlier, I thought about if you go with the Mario Fannin over Lance Ball, you would be taking a gamble, but it'd be such a small gamble considering you have No. Sean Moreno, Ronnie Hillman, Monty Ball, Jacob Hester in front of him.
Sure.
It's a small gamble.
Yeah.
So, if he shows some promise in training camp, I would say just pull the trigger. Why not?
Yeah.
You know, it's a small gamble. You got a deep team. You're not going to kill yourself if you made the wrong decision.
Right.
I think you'd be just fine.
Because the difference at worst is negligible for your fourth string back.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
it's a fourth pound.
I'm glad we had a passionate debate about the fourth string running back.
No shit. What the hell? Okay.
No, I'm fine with it. Like, I find that shit interesting. Man.
That was my depth chart in the running backs analysis.
Yeah.
That's what I think is going to happen.
Yeah. So what else is going on in Donkey Land, like, right now? Like, what's going on?
Okay, we signed Sean Phillips.
Sean Phillips?
From the Chargers.
I was going to say.
So we're taking all their players.
Now,
They're good ones.
Because they were in a 3-4, right? So he was on the outside.
Linebacker, yeah.
So he must play strong side. Is he going to play with his hand in the dirt? Or is he going to...
So if he comes in relief for Von Miller sometimes, which they were talking about him actually doing.
And they put Von in all sorts of spots.
Or moving him opposite Von Miller. He'll be an outside linebacker, but for the most part, they want to use him in nickel and dime packages with his hand in the dirt as a defensive end.
Interesting.
Which kind of brings...
So,
go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, it kind of brings the next question, then. What kind of player do you put a defensive tackle on third down?
That was actually my next question. Okay. We're on the same page. Except so what does that do for the rest of your line on third down?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
that nickel...
which is essentially our base packages in nickel. We start
Seahawks play over 60% of their defensive snaps in nickel. So,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So you understand it.
Yeah.
The thing is, we put Derek Wolfe at defensive tackle in pass rush situations. So now all of a sudden we got Von Miller, Derek Wolfe, and Sean Phillips coming at him from the line of scrimmage. Him, whatever quarterback that happens to be.
Oh,
we got
is that all?
So much speed.
Is that all?
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
And so that's what we're going to be bringing. And Quintez Smith, as soon as he gets healthy, what this helps us do also is he's a defensive end. And this allows us to wait until he's fully healthy to really bring him on. We have a lot of hopes on this guy as a defensive end, especially as a pass rusher. He's a quick guy. And so getting Sean Phillips, I think, allows us to take the time to make sure he's fully healed before we actually see what he can do on the field.
Gotcha. So a little bit of insurance, get your guys healthy, get them on
absolutely.
What they can do. Well,
absolutely.
That's a nice
little
plan.
more depth again.
It's a nice plan. How was it? Just like a 1-year deal with Phillips? Like what was?
To be honest with you, I didn't even look at what it was.
Interesting. Okay. Well, it must not have been significant.
I totally overlooked that.
Generally, it stands out.
He's played for 10 years.
Well,
so
yeah,
I would imagine it's a 1 or 2 year kind of thing.
It's got to be a proven deal.
Yeah.
No, that's a solid signing. I mean, Sean Phillips is an absolutely serviceable guy. I mean, like we've discussed a million times, and we'll discuss with the Seahawks coming up, like D-line depth is huge.
It is. It's big time.
Absolutely.
So there was one more thing that I kind of want to discuss.
Uno mas.
And kind of get your thoughts here. So we have so much depth now at running back. We have a lot of depth at defensive tackle. We have a ton of depth at defensive back, be it safety or corner.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, and the draft kind of answered a little bit of this, is where do you place basically your eggs at this point? In depth on the defense or depth on the offense? What do you think is more important to you as a coach? But then we go and draft a running back and a corner in the draft, almost back-to-back. We all got D-line. You can never have enough D-line.
Well, I think in that case, where you're talking about where do you draft? Do you draft offense or do you draft defense? Like, what's your emphasis? What do you want to build your team around?
Best player available.
I think, well, there's a lot of that, but I think you guys, the marriage of John Fox and John Elway, it's a little yin and yang there. I mean, Foxy's such a defensive guy. Yeah. And, in Elway, he might have thrown it around a little bit once or twice. So,
he knows how an offense works.
I'm pretty sure he likes the offense. So,
yeah.
You've got those two different mindsets that when they come together and they make some agreements, you guys, when you look at your guys' draft, this year and last year, it seemed pretty balanced.
It is. It's really balanced.
Yeah.
The thing is, we can keep a certain amount. We'll keep 4 or 5 running backs on the roster at a time. Mm-hmm. But how many safeties are you going to keep? How many corners are you going to keep? What is our emphasis depth-wise? That's what probably one of the most important things I'm really looking forward to coming into training camp is where's the majority of our depth going to lie? Is it, are we going to sacrifice a couple of guys on the defensive side to go offense? Are we going to sacrifice a safety for a running back at that point? Yeah. I want to see what we think as far as that goes. That's a big thing I have. I'd like to really know what you guys actually think about it. Let me know what you think we're going to do because we do have a lot of depth, but where we're going to put the emphasis is a big question mark for me.
Shoot us an email, folks. afodpodcast@gmail.com.
I'd like to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any other Broncos questions? That was pretty much what I wanted to address today.
I kind of feel like Broncos news, has been a little slower than Seahawks news as of late. Congratulations on that, actually, because the news hasn't all been good.
No,
in Seahawks.
Not all as well on the Northwest
not all as well. But I think what we're going to do here, boys and girls, is we're going to take a quick break here. We're going to drink a little more Eddy out from Kettlehouse Brewery. Check them out; it's good stuff. We're going to smoke a little more, drink a little more. You should, too.
We're going to swear a little more, too, probably while we do that.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Fuck off. All right. So you go fuck yourselves. We'll be right back.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody. It is now time for some hot talk. We are well lubricated with a little more Eddy out. Feeling our oats, that's for sure. Oh, it's only 5
minutes. I bet Josh Portis is, too.
The only difference is, Gerrad, I'm not driving anywhere after this. Oh, Josh Portis. Oh, man. This is a genuine bummer to me. So, for those of you who don't know, Josh Portis was released from the team. I believe it was yesterday. He was arrested for a DUI a few days ago. He didn't blow that far over the limit. It was something like it was close. It was close. But, I guess buzz driving.
It's already coming out.
But the thing is, little known to me, and this is something I just learned off of Brock and Danny's radio show in ESPN 710 Seattle. Apparently, this is
Portis'... You can't
drink
and drive in Seattle?
No. You can't, apparently. But this isn't Portis' first go-around with the team, like as far as having problems, behavioral problems.
All right, what was the other one?
Apparently, when he got released in Week 12 last year, it was because down in Miami he went out partying and missed team bus, wasn't in for curfew, blah, blah, blah. And so they cut his ass. So they brought him back this year.
Belongs right in Seattle right now.
With all the other just rowdy fucking... What the fuck? We'll get to Bruce later. Good God. But, Portis gets a DUI here. I'm sure he's on a zero-tolerance policy with Schneider at this point.
Yeah.
And
which is a bummer because we'd actually both watched him in the last couple of preseason. I know preseason doesn't mean a lot, but we both watched him.
I enjoyed Portis.
And he made some promising throws. He was athletic.
I'm going to miss his mom at the practices, too. Like, she was hilarious. Like, yelling at Pete, yelling at the radio guys, yelling at everybody. Yeah. So, goodbye, Josh Portis and Josh Portis' mom. We'll see you later. But that brings me to the number one story, obviously, Gerrad. And that's Bruce Irvin.
Yeah, 4 games.
4 fucking games.
You guys and your fucking suspensions.
All right, Bruce. I just have a quick question for you, buddy.
He's already on a tightrope with you.
Yeah.
For some reason, you got him on a short string, man.
I do.
8.5 sacks is good enough in your rookie season.
We're going to be reeling that string in even a little tighter now because... Hey, did you maybe notice that a couple of your guys got popped for using Adderall last year? Did you happen to notice that?
Did you think it's Adderall?
Did you think? Well, that's the implication, and that's what the reports are coming out as saying. And
definitely what he had said as far as like the pharmaceutical consent or whatever.
Yeah. Bruce's official statement said that he didn't have a medical exemption from the NFL to take it,
so it's obviously probably. It's probably a controlled substance.
Obviously.
You would think.
Yeah.
Unless he's just blowing smoke.
But it's looking like Adderall. Now, Pete Carroll had him well, he didn't have him do it. Bruce requested. But get up in front of the team, make an apology, so hooray for that.
He didn't even appeal.
Well, no, he didn't appeal because he fucked up. He knew. I mean, so Bruce...
It's like pissing dog urine.
God, man. Exactly. These guys clearly aren't bright. That's something that you got to come to.
Some of them think that this is okay, and it's not even close.
But now it's casting this shadow on the Seahawks, as the cheating team. Oh, Pete Carroll cheating at USC. Now he's cheating here. Well, first off, the cheating at USC was supposedly paying players. Reggie Bush didn't get paid.
Completely different subject.
But that was all outside of Pete Carroll, too.
Yeah.
Now, should he have known? Probably.
Do you really think that was only going on at USC?
Oh, hell no. No, it's going on everywhere.
Yeah.
And much like this, I feel like, who knows about the testing, but with that said, there's a lot of teams that are dealing with the same problem. What Pete was talking about in his press conference after OTAs, he made a real impassioned speech about it. But, he talked a lot about the culture that these kids are coming from out of college.
Yeah.
And, shit, Jared, we live in a college town. You see these college kids. How many of them are hopped up on who the fuck knows what on every
Especially Adderall.
Especially Adderall.
We know some kids that age. Really big problem in high school in Missoula, too.
Yeah.
It's a really big issue up here, so I can't imagine that it doesn't transfer over to somebody who's 4 years older than they are.
Right. So, both John Schneider and Pete Carroll talked about that culture that they are drafting kids out of. And, every team's dealing with it. It's a league-wide thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard. For me, for example, I wasn't even approached with pot ever in my life until I was a freshman at the U of M. And some hippie girl walks by and asks me if I wanted to buy some greens. And I was like, why would you spend money to buy money? It just didn't make any sense. But the point being is that the culture is much different now than it was, even just 10 years ago, 15 years ago.
I totally agree. We didn't even have access to Adderall. We had access to weed. We had access to booze, of course.
But none of this farmy stuff, none of this designer drugs.
Never, because it wasn't as popular and widespread.
Right.
Now it's everywhere, because you're having so many kids being diagnosed with ADHD. I know it exists. I'm not denying its existence. Mm-hmm. But think about when you were a 7 or 8 year old boy sitting in class waiting for recess.
Sure.
You're nuts.
Yeah.
It's not ADHD. You're a boy.
Yeah.
You're going fucking crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
ADHD or not, you're a kid.
Yeah.
You're nuts. Even girls were back there who just had energy, man. So it's just more widespread now. They have more access to it. It does help you focus more. Why wouldn't you try and get a leg up? Especially if you didn't think you were actually going to test positive for something like this.
Right, exactly. But fuck, you've seen your other teammates get popped for it. You should think that there's a chance you might test positive for it.
What do you think the drug test was?
That was my next point on this.
Yeah.
I wonder if this specimen was taken last year when this was clearly going around the locker room. I'd have a hard time believing that coming into this year.
In OTAs?
In OTAs, like in the last week or two, or even just in the off season. I don't think that's the case. I really don't. So I don't know. I mean,
it'd be interesting to find out. If anybody knows, let us know.
Yeah,
I'd like to know.
Let us know. But I'm really disappointed in Bruce on this one.
Yeah.
Because this was going to be a big season for him, in my eyes. I mean, they're already talking about moving him to linebacker. You start hearing things like that, and you're like, so he's not performing at the position how you'd like him? Or you're imagining a new role? That's never good. When they start moving Aaron Curry around, talking about how they're going to switch him doing this, switch him doing that, none of that seemed to fucking help. Aaron Curry just sucked.
Aaron Curry was also a more polished football player when he came into the NFL, whereas we've talked about before, Bruce Irvin has not had a lot of coaching in his football lifespan.
Right. So
he's
now you're
a very raw player.
Now you're going to take everything that you put into him at DN and you're going to switch him to linebacker and try to reteach him a bunch of shit he already doesn't know?
Think about a Von Miller and now Sean Phillips. Where are these guys playing? Linebacker, they're playing outside linebacker and DN.
Yeah.
It depends on the down. On third down, he's going to be at the end.
So you think it's more an evolution of the NFL scheme where you're seeing that
it's a hybrid end. It's just an end now.
So you can go back and forth between that 3-4 at the snap of a finger.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's it. I don't know.
These guys have been coming around more and more lately. We got one in Von Miller.
Yeah. We're talking about doing the same thing with Cliff Averill at some points.
Cliff.
Yeah.
His plantar fascia.
Flasher Fana. The plantar fasciitis. Yeah, I guess 2 weeks or so ago. Ended up with some plantar fascia.
Remember Visante Shenko?
Yeah, I know.
Ended his career.
Yeah, and it's minor. You heard him. He came on the radio, said it was minor. Blah,
Sometimes
blah,
it does heal really well, though.
I don't know. I'm concerned. I mean, when you say we don't have Bruce for 4 games, and when you say Clem's probably not going to start the season, when you say Cliff Avril's already battling foot problems, he's batting the foot problems to try to make them stop. Maybe that's where the foot problems came from.
It's not a bone spur.
Yeah. So, that leaves the defensive line looking a little thinner than we had originally thought. Now, we still have Tony McDaniel. We still have Michael Bennett. We have the 2 D linemen that we drafted, whether that's Jesse Williams or Jordan Hill. And I think Jordan Hill is going to be awesome.
But you guys play the Niners week 2.
Yeah, we do.
That's going to be tough without all
Well,
these
it's
guys.
going to be a little easier without Michael Crabtree.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's a big-time loss for a while.
Man,
Achilles injuries after DT came back like he did from his. I'm not.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm not worried that he'll come back at all from this, and he's a young guy. The thing is this season he's not going to come back this season.
They said it's not season-ending.
Yeah, but what percent? He's not a player, don't play kind of guy. He's not a Michael Crabtree play. Michael Crabtree don't play. No. He's based on percentages.
Yeah, he's 70%, 60%.
Yeah, he's not 0% or 100%.
Yes play, no play.
Yeah, if you tear your Achilles, you're coming back maybe in the playoffs. Imagine where your chemistry is going to be at since you're probably still down a step.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine where you're going to fit into the offensive scheme. So are you even worried about him if he does come back this season? Would you even be concerned?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Probably not. I mean, I feel pretty good about any of our DBs on him at that point.
Randy Moss looking pretty good now, isn't he?
Well, that's it. I mean, he clearly was a shell of himself last year. I mean, he's still low.
But there were a lot of other weapons.
So they're relying on us.
Michael Crabtree.
Yeah.
Mario Manningham, he went out.
Yeah, well, they're relying on a Manningham now coming off, all the CLs. And,
It's never good to be relying on a Manningham.
Yeah, and AJ Jenkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah. I don't know. It looks a little more precarious in Niner land. But with all that said, it bumps me up that Crabtree got hurt. It really does.
You want it to be competitive.
Absolutely. I don't want to hear once we drubbed the Niners twice this year that, it's all because Crabtree was injured. Like all the 40 whiners do. I
kind of agree with that.
So, no, I mean, but I never wish an opposing player to become injured like that. I mean,
you want to go guns against guns.
All guns.
Full ammo.
Yeah, all the guns. So,
but, we even talked so this probably isn't much of a concern. Sorry to keep on the 49ers, but that's fine.
My next
thing.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking last year before the last time you guys played them.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that came up was, who's going to out-physical the other team?
Yeah.
And then Vernon Davis got knocked out.
Knocked off the field.
And it was clear after that you guys clearly had the more dominant physical team. I don't think there was any question after that game.
At almost every single matchup on the field.
So you're losing a little bit up front.
For now.
I think you can still win that game.
Yeah.
Wait, is it in Seattle? Or no, it's down in 49.
It's down, yeah. Okay. I'm pretty sure it's down at the new Candlestick.
Just knock them out again.
Yeah,
knock them all out.
Well, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm not sold on the dynamic leap of Colin Kaepernick.
Me neither. This is a proven season for him.
I feel like Kaepernick is wired a lot more like a Cam Newton, and I mean, in the style of play and everything. I just think
he'll be interesting this year.
Yeah, but you saw Cam Newton take a significant step back last year, and I think you're going to see the same.
Well, his stats were the same. He did recover, and his stats were almost the same
towards
as
the end of the year. But he played putrid for half.
He did.
He played his team right out of any chance they had to make the playoff.
He definitely did.
Sat and sulked
but he
on the
did
bench
finish strong, so I think he kind of figured it out. But I think you're right about Kaepernick taking a step back because he's got a gun. He's fairly accurate. But I think defenses are going to learn how to confuse him a little bit more.
Absolutely.
We'll see how he adjusts to the mental aspect. He's got all the physical tools. We'll see if he can put it all together again.
I'd say the only thing I give him, as an advantage to him is having Harbaugh. I mean,
he's clearly quarterback's coach.
He's a quarterback's coach.
Definitely.
And so, I mean, if he's ever to have a chance, if he's ever to have had a chance,
this is it.
This is it. I mean, it doesn't line up anymore perfectly.
It'll be really interesting. He's pretty exciting to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
I do not like him.
I can't stand him.
Just don't. The Kaepernicking? Grow up, man.
Yeah, and put a bend in your hat, dude.
That's fucking stupid.
You can't be wearing that flat-brimmed bullshit, man. Like, fucking put a bend in your hat like a man, all right?
Sorry, Niners. You guys have completely gone away from that traditional pocket passer, which got you guys respect, and now you're with Colin Kaepernick. kissing his biceps. Congratulations! How's that fall from grace? Anyway, what was the next Seahawks thing you wanted to
Well, I mean, as far as Seahawks go, I mean, one thing, to just relate back to the Niners real quick.
Okay.
Look at the history of people that have lost in the Super Bowl the next year. Generally, they don't even make the playoffs.
They don't even make the playoffs.
And that's, Seahawks were very similar to that after the year we went to the Super Bowl. Lost Super Bowl, and it was a struggle, ever after. So,
unhappily ever after.
Well, I mean, yeah, until they got rid of Mora. And they were fine. But coming back to the Hawks, though, a little bit, in OTAs and what's actually going on the field, I listened to Steve Rabel come on and talk about Brock and Danny in Seattle, and talk a lot about what he saw in the receivers during OTAs.
Okay.
Now, specifically, he singled out two guys, Golden Tate and Doug Baldwin, and he said these guys
they were good
running
last year too.
He said the way they were running routes, their precision, their hands, their timing was light years ahead of last year. He said, even with the Chris Harper coming in and some of these younger raw guys, he's like, these guys look like professionals out there.
So they're actually developing with the guy who can throw a football.
Absolutely. And
dude, I'm excited to see that offense this year.
I think the switch flipped with Golden Tate last year.
Oh yeah, he made some incredible catches. He made some catches that were the sole reason you brought him in.
Oh yeah,
the back of the end zone.
With Golden Tate,
good stuff.
I actually sat down and watched one of the Ultimate Seahawks highlights videos.
I bet you did.
I did. It was an hour long. It was fantastic. I wish I could remember who had it up on YouTube.
You were wishing it was 2 hours.
Oh, it was fabulous. But the one thing that I came away from that was Golden Tate made more big plays than I even had remembered. I mean, he's doing all sorts of stuff out there. He's a dynamic guy. I thought he played well outside. I think, after listening to an interview with him, I think they have every intention of having him and Percy Harvin on this field at the same time. I mean, a lot of people say their skill sets overlap.
They do because they're very similar. However, I would take two of that player on the field at the same time.
They can go anywhere.
You mean to tell me if you didn't have two Percy Harvins, you wouldn't put them both on the field?
you put all the Harvins on the field. Use all the Harvins all the time.
Golden Tate is a very similar player. Yeah. One of those kind of lower center of gravity, quick, precise route runner, slot receiver styles.
Tremendous after the catch.
Speed.
Yeah, with good speed. And I think the work ethic.
Wes Walker.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely in that light. I think working with Russell made that switch flip on the type of work it takes to be a professional, and he's talked about that.
Well, think of the chemistry you build with these receivers, especially if you have accuracy. Everything is timing now, rather than I think that guy's gonna be open. Let's see if I can hit him. Yeah. He's like, if this guy's gonna be open, I gotta throw it like this, and it's just gonna be robotic because we all know Russell Wilson's a fucking robot.
Oh yeah, he's a robot. He's a robot that is apparently 5 pounds heavier in his legs. That's what I learned.
At least.
That's what I learned the other day. Is that Russell's been working on his legs all off season.
You guys got a really explosive offense this year.
It has really the potential to be.
If Turbin's going to be good this year,
if Heath Miller's healthy, I mean that definitely has a big part of that. He's coming back from a totally torn plantar fascia.
True. That would be a bitch. I don't know if you guys have ever had plantar fascia issues.
I have.
If you've had it, I've had it. I've known some people who've had it. It's a bitch, dude. When you get out of bed, you can't even walk.
It's
all inflamed. It's not good. So, but it's not a small injury.
Sometimes. No. So I'm a little concerned, about that. But yeah, I mean this offense, and then the offensive line. I mean, we got to see how that still shakes out. Apparently, they've had the same 5 starters on the line in OTAs as they did at the end of the season, where you had Okun, McQuiston, Unger. Sweezy and then
all the guys,
and then Giacomini. So still Sweezy and Giacomini on that right hand side. We'll see if they continue to progress. I mean, Tom Cable has a lot of faith in Giacomini. He's been banging his drum.
Big Russian man.
Yeah, the big.
A lot of players, once they've had a little bit of time, they do progress. They do build an NFL body, just like a Russell Wilson. That's why he's building his lower body, so he can be just stout down there. Dude, center of gravity, man. That's what it's all about. Lonnie Hillman did the same thing this year. Build up a little bit of muscle, lower your center of gravity, build up your legs and your core.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
Well, one of the things I wanted to talk about with the Seahawks so far here in OTAs and things you've been hearing, kind of going in, a little more about Russell Carington Wilson's actual advancement as a quarterback. This guy's
Carington.
Carrington.
Did you hear that middle name fucking bomb right there?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
Wears a sweater vest to bed.
Probably should with that middle name. Carrington.
If there's ever a robot middle name, there it is right there, Carrington.
Does he live in a fucking castle?
He kind of did go to
a wall around it.
He kind of did go to some nice schools growing up.
Does he got a moat?
No, he's just got the Puget Sound.
He's lucky he's good, really, really good, or he'd be a total douchebag.
So, just the progression of Russell Carington Wilson.
Sorry, I love Russell Wilson.
It's all right. I mean, it's almost it makes me think of Carlton. He almost even looks a little like Carlton from Fresh Prince.
Oh yeah! Oh man, he's totally Carlton.
He's totally Carlton. That's what I envision now.
Good Lord,
the robot version of Carlton. But
wow.
He. Coming in, Pete Carroll was talking about. They asked Pete, what's the big difference, with Russell coming in this year compared to last year, and how much growth do you think he's had? And he's like, there's absolutely no way to measure it. He's like, it's just off the charts.
Well, he's got more playbook options now too.
Apparently, the first play he was fooling the defense with a hard count, and Pete was like, he didn't even know what a hard count was last year, coming into this. So not having to split those reps 3 ways.
Yeah,
having the whole offseason.
No Jack Wilson?
Jack Wilson is dead. Tavares Jackson, Flynn, and Wilson. Jack Wilson. That ding dong, that monster's dead. And, Wilson talked a lot about, how leadership roles already established, how they all went down to California and worked together. And Pete said, too, in practice, he could see...
Is that where they got the drugs to bring him back? Or
actually, no. They supply a lot of those uppers there in the Northwest where it's always gray and rainy. So I'm pretty sure that's a local supply.
Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That's coming in.
All right.
The
off-season does mean a lot.
I have a rebuttal to all of your drug jokes.
Come on.
So Mike Sando puts up a little stat the other day from ESPN, the NFC West blogger, and he says... in his little chart, since 2007, there have been 5 Seahawks that have been suspended for PEDs. Okay?
Uh-oh.
There are 2 teams tied for second place. One of them happens to be your very own Denver Broncos with 4. Now, you're telling me that's a far cry, 5-4?
It's not a far cry.
I think the only difference is it just takes longer for the drugs from California to get out there because it's a little further away.
Good.
Yeah.
We'll be cleaner longer.
You'll be catching up.
We'll be cleaner longer.
Yeah, you'll be something longer. But, it's... come on, guys.
So,
just stop doing that shit.
So, Russell Wilson, what do you think he's going to be as a pocket passer this year at this point? Compared to last year? Because we both saw everybody saw last year that his ability to sit there in the pocket for several seconds and throw a 15-yard out on a dime was really impressive.
Oh, yeah.
He overthrew some of those long seam routes, but he wasn't underthrowing them because he's got a cannon. What do you think his progressions are going to be like this year? How do you think your playbook's going to be different because of how much he's got better than it was last year?
So, I don't know how much different the playbook will be, but I think Russell will just have more access to the full playbook, as in calling audibles at the line of scrimmage and things like that. One of the things he's talked about a lot as far as progressing this year is understanding protections even better.
Okay.
And, you saw Russell running around for his life last year.
Yeah, especially against the Rams, but they were bringing it.
But with that said, if you know how to adjust your protections better, you're going to have more time in that pocket. If you have more time in that pocket, you're going to be able to do that little slide step left and have a throwing lane. You're going to do that little slide. You're going to be more like Drew Brees.
Sorry to interrupt, but to take that a step further, if you adjust the protection and you know where those lanes are going to be if nobody's open, he knows exactly where he's going to run.
He knows.
But he's not a running quarterback. Don't get me wrong.
No.
I believe Russell Wilson could be a really, 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 really good pocket passer.
Absolutely.
Who can just run his ass off.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. No, I think that's how.
Sorry, continue. Go ahead.
But I think it starts from the bottom up. As far as how he progresses as that pocket passer, and that's from understanding your protections and then going all the way down the line. Going from there to being able to audible more. Once he's able, or now that he's able to take all that information to the field, he was drinking information down a fire hose last year.
Well, look at how much your playbook expanded for him week 1. Week
Oh yeah, it was
17.
the Bears game.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was the Bears game when Pete just was
They're like, fine,
fucking just no more training wheels.
run the plays.
All right, this is where
Whatever
the
you
brakes
want.
are. Good luck. You know, so
And he excelled. Look at that last drive against Atlanta.
yeah.
You're one stop away from him just going down the
Oh,
field
he won the
in that
game.
Yeah.
He won the game.
It was really impressive.
You know,
Russell Wilson's a lot to be excited
And,
about.
and Percy Harvin was talking about, you know, what practice was like with Russell, and he's like, you think that, like, Pete's out here telling us what to do and everything? He's like, this is Russell's practice.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, Russell's running the whole show. And
Even Jim Rome said something about him. I don't really care for Jim Rome, but
I don't either. Brandon really likes him, actually. We'll talk about Brandon at some other point. But, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, he said a lot about it. I think even you were telling me about it, that whatever it is, he's got it just all over him.
Yeah, he's just...
You
he's
can
just,
tell when he goes out onto the field. You could tell the way the warm-ups went when we were down on the field
Oh, man.
watching that game.
Oh,
it
man.
was all centered around him, and I know he's the quarterback, so it should be.
Yeah.
But he was a really vocal guy. Pete Carroll's a vocal guy. He was
Yeah.
down there. He's playing catch down there
Yeah.
with everybody. But
yeah.
it is Russell Wilson's team, and you could see it evolve that way shortly after he won the starting job. So I remember when you were telling me that fans were kind of calling for his head. We should be starting Matt Flynn.
Oh, yeah, like week
we're ready
4.
to win now.
Yeah.
Everybody was really impatient, but none of the team, none of the organization, nobody even had a single question about what they were going to do.
Yeah.
That says a lot for what they thought that they had in the beginning of the season.
Well, I mean, you see enough snaps and you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're like,
And
we
that's-
just got to get this guy going in the offense, and then they just let it loose, and then you guys dominated. You scored like 100 points in 2 games.
the floodgates
That was
opened.
a tear.
That was
dude.
3-game tear, man.
That
50
was a
points
tear.
or more, man. I mean, they were hitting on all cylinders, and
It was fun to
they
watch.
weren't that far off from that in the playoffs either. So I
Yeah.
mean, I think I think the season obviously looks bright. I like where Russell's taking the team, and I'm really excited about the offense, you know, this year. And the defense is going to be just that much better with our young linebackers getting experience and all that.
How
good
are your
stuff.
draft picks looking in OTAs right now?
Well, the one draft pick I really was going to kind of chat about is Spencer Ware, the fullback from LSU.
That's right.
And-
the fullback competition you guys got brewing down there.
Yeah, and a lot of people are wondering about, you know, what's going to happen with that Micheal Robinson. And they're saying he's getting pushed for his job right now. Now, I have a hard time believing that for a couple of
Micheal
reasons.
Robinson's good.
Not only is he good,
A fullback with athleticism and hands.
he's always healthy.
Yeah.
He plays special teams, and he does it well. And he's got great hands. And he's a leader on this football
And
team.
he's a fan favorite, too.
He's a fan favorite, but he's a very vocal voice in that.
He's
locker
almost
room.
like your guys' Wesley Woodyard.
Yeah.
A guy who came in as a special teams captain. Now he
Yeah.
worked his way up to the defense. Undrafted guy, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mike Rob's like 230, 240, something like that. Like, he's a big
He's a
guy.
big dude.
Spencer Ware is at 218 right now. That's not what I want in my starting fullback. He needs a little more mooly in him. A little more big mooly.
There's always the practice squad.
Well, that's what I think. He'll be stuffed, you know, back there. But, yeah, who knows? I mean, it's hard to say, but...
You never really know, but could you really see that locker room without Micheal Robinson in it?
Not this year. Not this year. I mean, especially with losing Leon.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah. Big time.
Out of that running back room.
Yeah. It's kind of... I can't really understate how much it really hurts the locker room when you lose a guy like Elvis Dumerville.
Right.
But when you got guys like Russell Wilson or a Peyton Manning who can completely compensate for anything that was lost,
Right.
fine.
Yeah.
You know, you got a Champ Bailey. You guys got an Earl Thomas back there.
Fucking
Plenty
Earl,
of
man.
guys.
Yeah.
You know, you got the leadership. You miss it right away, but it just molds the form back up to where it was before. It's just different guys step into a different role.
Just take some time. And my
Yeah.
point is this year isn't the year for it. I mean, I don't think we need it. In fact, I think this is a year that's even more important for Mike Robb to be on the team in the fact that, you know, he's in that running backs room with Marshawn, who's obviously got a lot of experience and all that.
Yeah.
But do you think he's the type of guy that's, like, mentoring young players the whole time and all that?
No.
Yeah, Marshawn's doing Marshawn things. Like,
Marshawn's just going to read it.
Yeah, he's
He's going to sit on the bench. He's going to keep to himself. And he's going to play football. But that's what he does.
That's what he does. He's awesome at it. But I don't think
Not
he's a
to go
teacher.
back to the Broncos, but Von Miller, he even says he's the guy who's going to do it by his actions in the field.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we didn't bring in a Brian Urlacher or a Charles Woodson, because
Sure.
we have young guys coming into the leadership roles,
Yeah.
just like you guys do. You know, when
Yeah.
you build a team through the draft, you don't want to hurt it with adding certain kinds of veterans, things like that. So do you even risk cutting a guy like Micheal Robinson?
You don't, because you've got Marshawn in that running back room, you got Mike Robb, and then you've got Turbin, who's obviously a young back.
great hands out of the
Great
backfield.
hands, and I think Turbin can be great, but you need that mentoring influence, and Mike Robb can definitely be that for him. And then we got Christine Michael, too. So, yeah, I did it for you.
Tell me about Christine. Oh, wait, you already did.
Yeah, I did. In a young back with supposedly attitude problems. So, from back at Texas A&M.
Attitude problems aren't going to be your guys' thing.
It won't
Not
be
in
if
that
you
kind
keep
of
guys
locker room.
like Mike Robb around, because those are the guys that make that kind of locker room. So I think this season, you get Mike Robb to impart what it is to be a professional on these young rookies that we have coming up, or a second-year player in Turbin. And
So you think maybe he just gets moved out?
I think it's not this year. I think it's the next year.
What season is he in? How old is he, Mike Robb?
I want to say he's like 28 or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's about that time.
Yeah, he's getting up there,
Yeah.
But I love Mike
Willis
Robb.
out. Sorry,
Yeah.
Willis.
Yeah. But I think that was everything on the Hawks that I had.
All right.
Which was lengthy. But
Yeah, but there was a lot to discuss.
Yeah.
You guys had a lot more going on than we did. We talked to a couple free agents that we didn't sign, thank God. And there wasn't a lot going on. We're just getting through OTAs. I think everything's looking promising on both these fronts, actually.
Yeah. There's actually one last thing that I want to do before we take off here, Jared. And that was, we apparently have a listener from Australia.
Oh, yeah, our Aussie.
Yeah.
Aussie listener.
Like, actually listen to the whole damn thing, which, well done by you, number one.
Yeah, thanks. We
And
really
number two,
appreciate that.
You're clearly much cooler than anybody else that's not, because not only are you actually listen to the whole thing, but you're doing it from like continents away.
Yeah. We do appreciate that. Get in contact with us. Let us know if you have any questions,
Totally.
what you want to talk about.
Shoot us an
We'll
email.
make it happen.
Subscribe, man. We'd love to hear from you.
Down under.
Yeah, from all the way down under. Well, Jared, I think that's everything we have for today.
Yeah. I think there's one last thing that we ought to say.
You bet, Jared.
In John we trust.